Hi, welcome to Professional Certifications channel. Let's break down CISSP exam preparation, one topic a day for focused and effective learning. Today's topic is defense in depth.
Definition. Defense in depth, DID, is a security strategy that involves implementing multiple layers of security controls throughout an organization's IT environment to protect against threats and vulnerabilities. The idea is that if one control fails, additional layers of defense remain in place to mitigate or prevent an attack. This approach reduces the likelihood of a single point of failure and improves the overall security posture of the organization.
Key concepts.
1. Purpose of defense in depth. The primary goal of defense in depth is to provide redundancy and security by using a combination of technical, administrative, and physical controls at different layers. This multi-layered approach helps protect against a wide range of threats and ensures that no single control is solely responsible for securing a system. DID is based on the assumption that attackers will eventually breach one layer of defense, so additional layers must be in place to slow them down, detect their activities, and prevent further damage.
2. Layers of defense in depth. Defense in depth is often visualized as a series of layers, each with specific security controls to protect assets at various stages of access or compromise. These layers typically include: physical layer, protects the physical infrastructure of the organization, including data centers, offices, and equipment. Controls include locks, surveillance systems, security guards, and access control systems. Example: biometric access control or security badges to limit physical access to data centers. Network layer, secures the network infrastructure by controlling the flow of data and access to systems. Controls include firewalls, intrusion detection/prevention systems, IDS/IPS, virtual private networks, VPNs, and network segmentation. Example: firewalls filter incoming and outgoing traffic to block unauthorized access, and network segmentation limits the lateral movement of attackers within the network. Perimeter layer, focuses on securing the boundary between the internal network and external networks, e.g., the Internet. Controls include firewalls, demilitarized zones, DMZs, and web application firewalls, WAFs. Example: a DMZ provides a buffer zone between internal systems and external traffic, hosting public-facing services like web servers while protecting internal systems. Application layer, protects applications and software from exploitation. Controls include input validation, secure coding practices, application firewalls, and runtime application self-protection, RASP. Example: web application firewalls, WAFs, block SQL injection attacks and other application layer threats. Data layer, secures sensitive data at rest, in transit, and in use. Controls include encryption, data masking, access controls, and data loss prevention (DLP) systems. Example: encrypting sensitive customer data stored in databases and ensuring that data transmitted over networks is encrypted using protocols like TLS. Endpoint layer, protects individual devices such as laptops, desktops, smartphones, and servers. Controls include antivirus software, endpoint detection and response (EDR), patch management, and mobile device management (MDM). Example: EDR solutions detect and respond to suspicious activity on endpoints, such as malware infections or unauthorized software installations. Identity and access management (IAM) layer, manages user identities and access rights to systems and data. Controls include multi-factor authentication, MFA, single sign-on, SSO, role-based access control, RBC, and least privilege principles. Example: MFA ensures that users authenticate with both a password and a secondary factor, e.g., a smartphone app, before gaining access to sensitive systems. Monitoring and detection layer, involves continuous monitoring of network and system activity to detect anomalies and potential threats. Controls include security information and event management (CM) systems, intrusion detection systems (IDS), and behavioral analytics. Example: a CM system collects and analyzes logs from multiple sources to detect unusual patterns, such as repeated failed login attempts, that may indicate an attack. Administrative layer focuses on policies, procedures, and user awareness to ensure that security is maintained throughout the organization. Controls include security policies, employee training, incident response plans, and regular audits. Example: regular security awareness training ensures that employees recognize phishing attempts and other social engineering attacks.
3. Key principles of defense in depth. Redundancy. DID introduces overlapping controls so that if one fails, others are in place to provide continued protection. This redundancy helps ensure resilience against sophisticated attacks that may bypass individual security measures. Diversity of defense. A key aspect of DID is using different types of security controls at various layers, rather than relying on the same control across the board. For example, using both network firewalls and web application firewalls, WAFs, ensures that different attack vectors are addressed. Separation of duties ensures that no single individual has complete control over critical security functions. For example, separating the responsibilities of system administrators and security officers prevents insider threats and reduces the likelihood of privilege abuse. Least privilege. Users and systems should only have the minimum necessary access to perform their functions. Limiting access reduces the attack surface and limits the damage that can be done if an account or system is compromised. Continuous monitoring. The use of monitoring tools, such as CM and IDS/IPS, to detect security incidents in real time and provide timely alerts. This ensures that potential attacks are identified and mitigated early in the attack chain.
4. Benefits of defense in depth. Comprehensive protection. By implementing multiple layers of security, DID addresses threats from multiple angles, ensuring that even if one layer is breached, others remain intact to provide protection. Increased resilience. DID makes it harder for attackers to reach critical systems and data because they must bypass multiple layers of security controls. This increases the organization's resilience to both external and internal threats. Mitigation of various attack vectors. Different types of security threats require different responses. DID provides protection against a variety of attacks, including malware, phishing, insider threats, and network-based attacks. Early detection and response. With multiple layers of monitoring and detection, suspicious activities can be identified and responded to quickly, reducing the impact of incidents.
5. Challenges of defense in depth. Complexity. Implementing and maintaining multiple layers of security can be complex and require significant resources, both in terms of technology and personnel. Ensuring that these layers work together effectively is a challenge. Cost. Deploying multiple controls across various layers may be costly, especially for smaller organizations with limited budgets. False sense of security. Organizations must avoid relying solely on one or two strong defenses while neglecting other areas. Effective DID requires a balanced approach across all layers. Integration and coordination. Ensuring that all security layers, e.g., network security, endpoint security, IAM, are integrated and work in unison is crucial. Failure to properly coordinate can lead to gaps in security.
6. Real-world example of defense in depth. In a modern enterprise environment, consider how defense in depth might be applied to protect sensitive customer data. Physical layer. Only authorized personnel can enter the data center through biometric authentication and security badges. Network layer. The internal network is segmented, with firewalls controlling access to different zones, and VPNs are required for remote access. Perimeter layer. The organization uses a web application firewall, WF, to protect its public-facing web services and DMZs to isolate publicly accessible servers. Application layer. Web applications include input validation to prevent SQL injection and other attacks. Data layer. Customer data is encrypted both at rest and in transit using strong encryption protocols. Endpoint layer. employees' workstations are protected by antivirus software and endpoint detection and response (EDR) solutions. IAM layer, multi-factor authentication (MFA), is required for access to sensitive systems, and role-based access control (RBC) ensures that only authorized users can view or edit customer data. Monitoring and detection layer, a security information and event management (SIEM) system, is used to monitor network activity and detect anomalies, while intrusion detection systems (IDS) provide real-time alerts for suspicious activity. Administrative layer. The organization regularly trains employees on recognizing phishing attempts and follows strict policies for incident reporting and response.
7. Defense in depth and compliance. Many regulatory standards and frameworks recommend or require a defense in depth approach, including PCI DSS requires multiple layers of security to protect cardholder data. HIPAA mandates the implementation of physical, technical, and administrative safeguards to protect healthcare data. ISO/IEC 27001 encourages a layered security approach by addressing various control objectives across different domains, including physical security, network security, and incident response.
8. Zero Trust architecture and defense in depth. Zero Trust is an emerging security model that assumes that no entity, whether inside or outside the network, should be trusted by default. Every user, device, and transaction must be verified continuously. Defense in depth and Zero Trust can complement each other. While DID uses multiple layers of protection, Zero Trust adds an additional layer of scrutiny by ensuring that every request and action is subject to authentication and authorization.
Importance in the CISSP exam. Defense in depth is an important concept in the security architecture and engineering and security and risk management domains of the CISSP exam. CISSP aspirants need to understand how to implement multiple layers of security, the principles behind DID, and the benefits of using a layered security approach. Exam questions may focus on applying DID in different scenarios, identifying potential weaknesses in security architectures, and selecting appropriate controls for different layers.
Real-world example. A retail company that handles online payments implements defense in depth by using a combination of firewalls, web application firewalls, WFs, data encryption, and intrusion detection systems, IDS. In addition, employees receive regular training on identifying phishing attacks. This layered approach ensures that even if a malicious actor breaches one layer, other defenses remain in place to prevent data theft or disruption.